Hola amigos y bienvenidos a una nueva clase de emprendimiento, una propuesta de EA High School. El día de hoy tocaremos unos temas bastante interesantes del libro The Lean Startup y analizaremos algunos aspectos bastante importantes para todo emprendedor. The topics that we are going to be covering today are key ideas of the Lean Startup method. We are going to analyze why some startups fail, and we are going to analyze the first part of the book, The Lean Startup, which is vision. First of all, let's start by analyzing the key ideas of the Lean Startup method. First, startup success is not a consequence of good genes or being in the right place at the right time. Startup success can be engineered by following the right process, which means it can be learned, which also means that it can be taught. It is very important to acknowledge that entrepreneurship is a kind of management. However, many people have widely divergent associations between these two words, entrepreneurship and management. Lately, it seems that one is cool, innovative, and exciting, and the other is dull, serious, and blunt. It is time to look past these preconceptions and understand that in reality, they depend on each other. It is important to understand that entrepreneurs are everywhere. They are not just in garages, but also in large corporations and government organizations. In such organizations, it is up to the leadership to create an environment that will allow entrepreneurship and experimentation to flourish between all members of the team. It is also important to acknowledge that entrepreneurship is management, although it is not like traditional management, such as you might learn on an MBA. Entrepreneurship is still management, where the management approach must be tailored to the specific needs of a startup. In other words, to an environment of extreme uncertainty. Validated learning. The job of your startup is to learn what your customers want in such a way that you can build a sustainable business. You conduct this learning in a very scientific way in order to obtain the best results in your investment. Build, measure, learn. This loop is the fundamental activity of a startup. Iterating through this loop helps you learn. The faster you go through it, the faster you learn and make progress. If you make progress, your products are going to improve, thereby taking over the local market. Fifth, innovation accounting. Innovation accounting gives us the tools to measure if our startup is making progress or not. In other words, it provides a framework of chain leading indicators, each of which predicts success or failure. Now, we're going to analyze a very important topic: why startups fail. The first problem is the allure of a good plan, a solid strategy, and a thorough market research. In earlier eras, these things were indicators of likely success. The temptation is to apply that system to startups too, but in reality, that doesn't work because startups operate with too much uncertainty. In other words, startups don't have a clear picture of a perfect customer or of a perfect product. As the world becomes more uncertain, it gets harder and harder for startups to predict the future. The old management methods are not up to the task. Planning and forecasting are only accurate when based on a long, stable operating history. The second problem is that after seeing traditional management fail to solve its problems, some entrepreneurs and investors have thrown out their hands and adopted a just do it school of a startup. This school believes that if management is the problem, chaos is the answer. Unfortunately, in most of the cases, this is not very accurate. This is the last part of our lesson. Here, we are going to be analyzing the first chapter of the book The Lean Startup, which is called Vision, which first part is Start. Entrepreneurship requires a managerial discipline to harness the entrepreneurial opportunity we have been given. Don't think a business plan like building a rocket ship, where you must provide a precise series of instructions to prevent the tiniest error of launch. Instead, we should make plans that are adaptable, lean, and allowed for constant adjustments based on the build, measure, learn feedback loop. The second part is define. In traditional management, failure to deliver results is a failure of planning or execution. On the other hand, the Lean Startup method recognizes this failure, encourage it, and adapt to it in order to improve and adjust rapidly. It is the responsibility of leadership and management to create an environment that allows for initiative practices to flourish, removing the constraints, models, and thinking for traditional management practices that do not support the rapid build, measure, learn cycle. Innovation is a bottom-up, decentralized, and unpredictable thing, but that doesn't mean that it cannot be managed. The third part of vision is learn. Learning must be at the heart of the lean startup. Understanding which elements of the strategy are realized in the established vision, what your customers truly want, and if your startup remains on track for establishing itself as a sustainable business. For a lean startup, anything that does not contribute to rapid and validated learning is a form of waste and should be eliminated. Finally, if you cannot fail, you cannot learn. It is important to understand that failure is an essential part of every startup, so don't be afraid to fail. Finally, experiment. The goal of experimentation is to iterate an emerging product, establishing early adopters, iterating on feedback, and refining value, ensuring that your product is actively being used to solve real customer problems, well before a broader market launch is made. In other words, you don't have to wait till your product is perfect. Now, with all the things that we've learned throughout the lesson, I want you to think about a product, how you can use every single one of the lessons that you've learned to develop the idea, to start developing your own ideas, to define your objectives, and to experiment all the process again and again so you can build the perfect product.